Hi, this is Jim's Little Boat. I'm Jim. Back before I started making these little Catalina 22 videos, I decided to move the battery from the back bilge of the boat up to the V-berth in that little locker that's really hard to get to. And I had a lot of reasons for that. I did some experiments, and I'll give you a link to the video I did about that. It was my idea that moving the battery forward would help the boat tack faster, and it seems to have done that. Rather than just fiberglass aboard in there with some tabs, I went ahead and made a pretty elegant battery box, but I don't have any video. So I'm going to try to show you how to do that by narrating slides. I've never tried that before. I hope it works out, and you will have the information you need if you want to do a form-fitting battery box that fits down in the bilge, and I think maybe I'll call the video, what will I call it? Build a better battery box that goes in the bilge, or some such nonsense.
The concept is pretty simple. I wanted to raise the stern up out of the water, and I knew from my experiments that if I took the 40 pounds of the battery and moved it from its normal location to up under the V-berth, that would raise the stern about an inch and a half. If I put two batteries up there, it would raise it over 2 inches, which would really help with tacking and some issues about taking the boat to windward. So the question was then, how do you get a battery box up there in that little space under the V-berth that you're not using anyway? Set up a light in the bow, grabbed a pencil, a tape measure, and a little piece of paper, and made a sketch of what I thought the battery box would look like so I'd have something to work with back in the shop. The rough sketch became a much better sketch, and I checked the measurements and refined it, made sure I had room for the batteries, and then it was time to get some plywood out and start working. I had some oak plywood laying around, so I cut out the box, butt joints, nails, waterproof glue. I think I used Titebond 3, just a simple box. Now for the hard part of this project. I took this funny shaped piece of plywood, nailed a strip of wood across the top so it would hang down into the bilge area, and traced the outline. This is called spiling. I took the little block and ran it around on the bottom, traced the top side of the block on the piece of wood, and that captured the shape. I did that for both the back side and the front side. Then you work the whole spiling thing backwards. You lay the block on the line and transfer the line to another pattern from the bottom of the block. You end up with a nice duplicated curve you can easily use.
Here's some good news for you Catalina 22 boat owners. You don't have to do any of this. I've already made you a table of offsets so you can just get your pencil, a piece of paper, and a ruler, and you can draw the pattern without all the spiling. For you folks that own other kinds of boats, I'll continue on with how you make the pattern and turn it into the two curved pieces. I'll put that table of offsets at the very end of the video just after the closing quip of the day, and that way you'll be able to pause and look at them all you want and copy down those numbers.
Let's see, where were we? Oh yeah, we drew the curve on the boards. I drove a nail wherever the reference lines intersected with the curve, and that helped me get a fair shape. Fair curve on a noble plan. This is just a 1/8 inch thick piece of pine batten bent around the nails. Take a pencil, trace it out, and you will get a fair curve to represent the bottom of the hull. When you get the curves set up for the front and back pieces, just go ahead and cut them out. I used a bandsaw because I have one, but if you've got a jigsaw, go ahead and use that. It'll work fine. Now you take the box and the end pieces and some clamps and a sense of humor and some patience, and you start adjusting the ends so the box sits level fore and aft and side to side. A helper would be a good thing at this point. Now you can fasten the ends onto the box. Some stainless steel screws and some waterproof glue like Titebond 3 would be great.
Yeah, you think you're done at this point, but you're really only half done because we want to make the bottom rounded so it fits the bottom of the boat and just gets nestled right in there.
Take your box and flip it over. We're going to add some longitudinal stringers. The stringers are just 3/4 plywood. Cut them with a taper, narrow on one end, fat on the other end, glue and screw them inside the box. And fill up all the spaces with polyurethane insulating foam you get from the home center. Be generous, you can file it back later. Then just work the foam down. I started with a big hand saw and then a file and finally sandpaper till I had the shape pretty well formed. I could have glued the box in at this point, but I'm me, so I went ahead and glassed it two layers, one of matte and then one of woven cloth. Now you're done. Just paint the thing to taste. I installed mine with 9 big blobs of 3M 4000. It was a long run back to the battery, so I used some number 6 wire and ran it through the starboard bilge. I was just too lazy to cut holes on the port side. And just for good measure, I added a 30 amp fuse at the battery box to protect the whole system with those big cables, and I've been happy as a Pacific Northwest razor clam ever since.
Well, that project took a little more work than I had planned on, a little more time. Didn't cost much money, but I was really glad I did it. After we got the battery moved up there, and 2 would be better, but after we got the battery up there, the boat tacked more quickly, and we were far less likely to hang up in irons. So I think it was a pretty good use of project time in that winter that I worked on it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you out there in the water.